It is time to talk about changes to heroes, and we start with the Farsight, an ability that is forgotten by Blizzard, and some players and people from the community suggest different ways of buffing it. For example, giving some intelligence to a hero with it, which is a little bit strange. And one suggestion is to add additional 10, 20, 30% attack speed per level, and that will make the upgrade unique. No unit has a passive ability with additional attack speed. Tinker has additional move speed granted by Engineering's upgrade. And with additional attack speed, which is like more damage for Farseer, it's also will have a nice synergy with the Orb of Lightning. So then we can see Farseer sometimes in the Orc Mirror versus Blade Master, or maybe against Demon Hunter and Dryads. Going for an early orb would be a good choice, especially after having additional attack speed. The next hero whose spells could be reworked is Priestess of the Moon. Even designer Dave, who worked at Blizzard, he said he wishes that they have done Searing Arrow differently because this ability is quite boring and simply gives damage to a hero. So the suggestion is to, if you look at the picture, to make it into another ability called Moonstrike.
Prepare to be moonstruck!
That deals damage, but on top of that, immobilizes a unit for a short period of time. So Priestess of the Moon will have a catching units ability now. Scout Owl from Priestess can also get some attention, and there are many ideas how to improve it. Some people say maybe it can dispel, maybe it can become a sentinel. Well, there is another idea. We can think, what can birds do in real life? And the answer is actually they can display destruction, right? So based on this idea, we think Scout Owl can get an additional ability called Destruct. It can land and taunt nearby enemies, at the same time become static, like a stone form of a gargoyle, and it can absorb some damage with this ability, having at the same time true vision of what's going around. And in this way, Owl can become a more used spell in fights and also for early creeping for Priestess of the Moon, because then it can tank one or two small creep camps, which would be interesting for players to try. And we get to undead heroes, and here are several ideas. For Death Knight, Death Pact mana cost can be reduced, and at the same time its stats could be lowered as well for level 2 and level 3. The idea is that Death Pact works like a divine shield, so it should protect the hero from hero focus. And with a high mana cost, it's rarely can be used. So reducing its mana cost, we're nudging players to use it at level 4 when Death Knight is level 4 to possibly avoid hero kill if they need by lowering the mana cost of the spell. And a small buff can be added to the Death Knight ultimate, because as we find from the next Ablehawk video, the explosions for corpses was initially planned by Blizzard.
Necromancers used to have spell cries as well, for Raise Dead,
Awaken,
and an ability that was taken out of the game, Corpse Explosion.
bloody corpses.
This ability was also found on the Diablo games, and later as a Death Knight ability in Wrath of the Lich King. I'm guessing it was taken out of the game due to either glitch or balance concerns.
We move on to Vampiric Aura, which is probably one of the weakest auras in the game. And it gives only lifesteal, which doesn't work on full HP units, so can't be used for all your army. And it could be used only in fights, and it gives a very small HP restoration. And since it's designed for ghouls, ghouls usually should restore their life points with cannibalize, right? That's why we suggest this aura to be changed to give 10, 20, 30% bonus damage per level to melee attacks, and all the lifesteal to be reduced to a flat 15% lifesteal on all levels. This change will surely bring some excitement to undead players after ghoul nerf, and will allow for more strategies for undeads, especially Dreadlord. Finally, for the Crypt Lord, for Spike Carapace upgrade, we suggest to create synergy between this ability and Carrion Beetles by granting Beetles also armor and melee damage return, same as Crypt Lord. And briefly going over Tavern heroes, Dark Ranger Life Drain has very long distance of life draining heroes, should be definitely reduced. Panda got nerfed. We understand that the range preferably should match the visuals, but as you can see in this video, Panda is shooting a group of units and the cone is not wide enough. Players got used that it will affect more units, so please bring back a little bit of its width. Beastmaster is a summoner, and unlike other summoner heroes, has a very small gain of intelligence per level, so we suggest slightly change the bonus stats he gets per level. As for Naga Sea Witch, we suggest for the mana shield to take into account hero armor type, because the spell is so weak, and even with this change we don't think it will make a huge impact, but it will be something interesting to consider for players once in a while. Finally, Tinker Pockets Factory could get a little buff because it starts so late. The first goblin is out after 4 seconds. The rocket damage, players care mostly how much do rockets do per unit, so that could be slightly changed in favor of early levels. And finally, as a kind of a daydreaming idea, what if we had an ability for Tinker to repair buildings with engineering upgrade? So you click on the upgrade on the building if it's researched, and then Tinker can repair its own factory or other buildings with a increasing speed. So it's not going to be matter for rushes because you have to research engineering upgrade to do that. So it could be a nice additional ability like hide for Warden and Priestess of the Moon. This is the end of part 2, and there is one more part 3 left. Thanks for watching.